How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Miller's Wildlife. A couple of weeks ago, I was given the incredible opportunity to film at an event called SharkCon. SharkCon is an annual convention that takes place at the Florida State Fairgrounds in Tampa, Florida, where ocean scientists, conservationists, water sports enthusiasts, and people who generally love our oceans all get together and share their information and share their passion for sharks and other marine life. I got the opportunity to interview some individuals who treat every single week like it's Shark Week, and I absolutely had to share these with you because I just had so much fun. This was the 6th year in a row that they've held it, and I strongly recommend going next year because it's a lot of fun. So without further ado, and in honor of Shark Week, please enjoy SharkCon 6, the Miller's Wildlife Experience. All right, I'm here with Mr. Jim Abernethy, photographer extraordinaire, and scuba dive adventure leader. And he does something a little bit different though. When you think about shark diving, you see the guys in the cages, and it's very cool, it's a little intimidating, but you don't like cages that much, do you?
No, actually, I pioneered large predatory shark cageless encounters, and I did this because my main drive is shark conservation.
Yeah.
And the depiction of the mindless man-eating monster is so far away from the truth. In fact, for the last 6 years, I've been teaching people how to make friends with wild sharks without feeding them, to the point that the wild shark actually chases them down to get more affection.
So without feeding, when you think about shark interaction, usually, they chum the waters first to get the sharks over. How do you get them to form a relationship with somebody when there's not food involved?
Well, actually, you can't get this type of behavior when you're feeding them, because you have to think of this from the shark's point of view. You see, as a shark, you're swimming around the ocean and you have to do two things to be successful. One, reproduce, that doesn't affect us, and the other one is spend less amount of time finding food than spend less amount of energy finding food than it takes to get to the next meal. So if they know that they can eat in order to be successful, all they need to do is beat all the other sharks to the source of that. So they're not in their natural normal behavior. Natural normal behavior is the only way that I can show the affectionate side of sharks to anyone. And I've been using the affectionate side of sharks to remove their hooks without feeding them. They're attracted to my shark expedition vessel because of the large amount of food that I put in the water, fish.
Right.
Although they're not able to eat it because I put it in containers. And because of that, the shark swims around very slowly, because they've been following the scent of fish their entire lives, and 99% of the time, there's nothing at the end of the trail. That's why shark diving is successful.
They're not zooming after with their mouths open.
No,
They're
in
cruising
fact, if
until they
you
find
look at any of my content, which I'll send to you, they're swimming around in slow motion.
Yeah.
And around my boat, I train them on a hand signal, which is rubbing your thumb to your fingertips, which basically means, do you want your head rubbed? And I am able, successfully, I've trained 8 species of sharks to see this command, turn, swim directly to me and my crew in order to get their head rubbed without feeding them.
How long does that normally take to get a wild shark to respond to a hand signal?
Well, my very first hook that I removed in 2002, which is when I discovered the affectionate side of sharks, it took me 2 hours to make friends with a 9-foot lemon shark and remove its hook. Now, that was really quick. I know that other ones, like one of the longest ones, took me 5 months to get to the point where the shark trusted me enough to let me rub its head while I'm pulling it close to my head so I can see the hook and mentally figure out how to get the hook out. And at the end of 5 months, I removed 3 hooks from the scene with Tarantino, which is a shark that stole my friend's camera and made a hilarious video, and he named it after his favorite filmmaker.
Amazing.
But in that film, Tarantino chases me down for about 4 minutes repeatedly to get her head rubbed without ever feeding her.
So we see, television shows on sharks. We see movies, documentaries about sharks. We see a lot of the strength, the speed, and the power that they have. We see their anatomy, what they're capable of, because they're incredible animals. But the intelligence, and more than that, the emotional intelligence of these creatures is something that's really not as marketed. But it's something we should focus on, because you don't hear about it. You don't think about a shark as
that's probably because most media is out to get you to watch.
Yeah.
And you always want to watch the aggressive bad behavior that makes sharks dangerous. But the truth of the matter is, sharks bite and kill less humans than almost every animal on the planet. And so I'm trying to show, because I'm not so interested in business, I'm more interested in conservation. I'm showing the true nature of the shark so that we can, we only protect what we love, is what Cusco said. And if you come to love a shark, especially on personal terms, like going on one of my trips, then you're at a level that is unstoppable. Absolutely. Because think about this. What animal on the planet that's an apex predator can you make friends with? Exactly. That's why I think it's so ironic that I'm starting to teach people, or I've been doing this for 6 years, but I'm teaching people to make friends with an apex predator, the first one on the planet that you can actually make friends with, and it's so ironic, it's the one that is believed to be the worst. But it's so far away from the truth.
Jim, every time I talk to you, I learn something new. You're an amazing person. Keep
Thank
doing
you
the great
very
work,
much.
man. I appreciate it.
Come out to Tiger Beach.
I will. Thank you. Guys, I'm here with Brandy Kleingross of Lionfish Jewelry and Accessories, and she has some absolutely amazing looking jewelry here. And what's so special about this? What are these little spines?
The spines are actually from the lionfish. So every piece of jewelry I make has the actual spines in it.
So a lot of people that watch this might not know, might be thinking this horrible woman's taking all these lionfish's spines away. Lionfish don't belong here in Florida.
Right, they're native to Indo-Pacific. So in Indo-Pacific, there's actually natural bacteria that will kill them off and things. But here in the Keys and all the way up and down Florida, in the Caribbean, we have no natural predators. So we have to be that natural predator. And so people have been eating them. They're a great fish to eat. It's better than hogfish. Really? It's a really nice light white fish. So Whole Foods has them. I mean, they're actually making little lionfish bites for people. I mean, they really do a great job. So, but we have to use the whole fish. If you just use the meat, it's one thing, but it's an invasive species. We're trying to get rid of them, and we're trying to bring awareness to people. And if somebody you see has a keychain with lionfish spines, you'll be like, hey, wait a second, what is that? It makes a great gift for those eco-conscious people, and I put on the back all the reasons of why we have to catch the lionfish, so people, if you get it as a gift, they're not like, why are you giving me dead fish parts? I don't get it. Lionfish, if they're on a reef, they will eat 90% of the fish on the reef. Will be gone. 90%. And so that's such a huge number that when we actually catch lionfish, you'll find lionfish inside of a lionfish. Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's
it's a Russian nesting doll of lionfish.
It is. We always open up the stomachs and we look at all the contents in there, and it's really interesting because you find out, what they're doing.
So are lionfish difficult to catch?
They're not. They're very stupid. They don't understand that they are, being, trying to be speared. And so you go right up to them, and the spears are only like this long. They're really short. And you just go and you spear them, and they just stay there. Once they see you, they just open up their spines like, I'm venomous, watch out for me.
Right.
And you can nail the same one 3 times if you're a bad shot.
No kidding. So why spears? Does the line not work as well?
No, they don't. It's really hard to catch them on hook and line, and they will hide underneath the rocks. Really? They like fake environments. So you'll find them in wrecks, you'll find them under the ledges of things. So you're not going to hook and line under a ledge.
Right.
It's not going to happen. So when I'm scuba diving, I'm always upside down and crooked looking for these lionfish to spear them. And people are like, are you okay? I'm like, yep, I'm good. Don't worry about me.
That's wonderful. So for the people at home, is there somewhere that we can buy these online, or do you have an Etsy shop?
I do. I have an Etsy shop that's Lionfish Expressions. So it's etsy.com/Lionfish Expressions. Or they can just go to lionfishjewelry.com, and I have a website there, and they can find me and get all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Lionfishjewelry.com, guys. Please check it out. This is a really, really good cause. And I think I might grab one of these for my mom. So thank you so much for talking.
Sounds good. No problem.
Guys, I'm here with Christina from Ocearch, one of my all-time favorite organizations. They're doing amazing work tracking and collecting data on marine species. with the focus on sharks, but also some other really cool animals as well. Christina, tell us a little bit about what exactly Ocearch does.
So Ocearch is a nonprofit. It's one of the largest shark tracking organizations in the world. So we go out on expeditions. We'll be heading out on our 35th expedition in August. We're going to Nantucket, Massachusetts, and we do about...
It's right in my backyard.
Yeah. We're going to be doing about 17 different science projects at one time. Ocearch is for the scientists. We provide the boat for the scientists to do the work on these large great white sharks that you can't do on a 25-foot boat.
Right.
So we provide that environment for scientists to come together, collaborate with each other, take samples for each other, and distribute them so we can optimize how much research is getting done, so we can start to really understand these animals and protect them as best we can for the future.
That's wonderful. And so how do you track a great white shark?
So we have these spot tags. So the spot tags actually get mounted onto the shark's fin. So these ones here, these are for adult sharks.
So it goes right on the dorsal fin?
It goes right on the dorsal fin.
Does that bother them at all? Is it uncomfortable?
It does not. The dorsal fin does not have any nerve endings in it, so they cannot feel it. And it does not affect its swimming. So it's the most optimal place for us to put these tags. Also, this antenna here has to come out of the water. It interacts with the satellite. It has to be out of the water for at least 90 seconds.
Okay.
And that is when you look at our shark tracker on Ocearch.org and you see the shark has pinged in. That means that this antenna has been out of the water for 90 seconds and we can get a location. So you can track these sharks just like we are, just as the scientists are learning the science, you are also learning the science in the real time with us.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of taking the work and the research that scientists are doing out there, bringing it to the landlubbers like myself, just by going on to Ocearch.org, you can see where all these sharks are.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, because protecting sharks, it's not just a scientist's job, it's the community's job.
Absolutely.
And the best way to get that community involved is to literally put them in the middle of it.
Yes.
And so that is what we're doing with the shark tracker. Putting you directly in the middle of it. So you can look at the data and you can go out, you could tell your friends, and you can help us with the management like we're trying to do.
That's awesome. So why is this might be a big broad question, but why is tracking the sharks important? Why is this data collection so important? And why should the people at home care where sharks are going?
Well, before Ocearch came to the east coast of the U.S., we were looking at what kind of data, because scientists were coming to us and saying, well, we need to protect these sharks, we need to protect these sharks. And Ocearch says, well, what do we know about them?
Right.
We need to know where they're mating, we need to know where they're feeding, we need to know where they're giving birth, so that we can go and protect these crucial areas for these sharks. And the scientists said, well, we don't know.
Right.
So how are we supposed to protect something if we don't know where they're going? So these tracks map them out. Mary Lee, for example, she was tagged in Cape Cod in 2012, and she mapped the way for Ocearch. She had swam over 40,000 miles for us in 5 years.
40,000 miles.
Yeah, and she brought us to Jacksonville, Florida.
That's amazing.
Where Lydia was tagged. She brought us back to Cape Cod, and then she brought us to Long Island, New York. So we now know Long Island, New York is a nursery for
Really?
these baby great whites, these young of years. So now we can start implementing the management plan to protect such a crucial life stage for these animals. So
because great whites, I mean, this is the most famous shark species in the world, but there's still a lot that we don't know about them.
correct, yeah.
Like they're breeding, they're, pupping, there's all these theories about them going way deep down in the ocean and congregating in big numbers. It just kind of gives us a better idea of where these sharks go and what they're doing. If you can't connect with something, you don't know enough about it, why would you want to protect it? So it's really, really amazing work that you guys are doing. Any other species that you guys are focusing on other than the sharks?
Yeah, of course. So like I said, Ocearch.org, you can track the sharks, but a lot of people think we are strictly just a shark organization. We are all about the sharks. We need to protect these sharks in order to sustain a healthy ocean. But on top of that, what else do you need to sustain a healthy ocean? You need your dolphins, your seals. On the tracker, you can track dolphins, you can track seals, you can track turtles.
There are a few pilot whales. There's even alligators on the tracker.
Really?
So we are really a world ocean organization that are just
amazing.
Starting with the most crucial organism that we need in order to keep a healthy ocean and a healthy planet for the future for our grandkids.
So Christina, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Yeah.
Guys, if you want to learn more about Ocearch, go to ocearch.org. Do you guys have any social media that you'd like to plug?
You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Ocearch.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I'm here at the 4Ocean booth at SharkCon 2019. This is one of the greatest companies in the world when it comes to ridding the world of plastic waste and plastic pollution. I'm here with my friend Daniel, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what 4Ocean is and how it got started. So what is the story? What is 4Ocean?
Cool, so 4Ocean is an ocean cleanup company. We are out here trying to clean up as much plastic pollution from the ocean as possible. We do that through the sales of our products. So for each product that we sell, we remove 1 pound of trash from our ocean.
That's awesome.
This all got started in Bali, Indonesia. Our 2 co-founders, Andrew Cooper and Alex Schultz, went there after they graduated from college on a surf trip, and they were just wading through plastic everywhere they went. It
kind of ruins the vacation.
A little bit, yes. And one thing they noticed was that there was just plastic, no matter how many times people would pick up, it just kept coming and kept coming. And they went over to a fisherman and said, hey, like, why aren't you guys picking up any of this trash? And they said, well, we don't get paid to pick up trash. We get paid to catch fish. So they went home back to Florida, and that kind of dawned on them at that moment that maybe they can start, you know, a market for ocean plastic, and in doing so, employ captains and fishermen to go out and clean up trash. So instead of it being paid, you know, by the pound to catch fish, they're getting paid by the pound to pick up trash.
So what exactly are these products? How are you turning pollution into something that people want to buy?
So our products range in you know, variety. We do have things that are more sustainably focused, so like reusable water bottles and things along that line. But our signature product is our bracelet. It's made out of post-consumer recycled materials, so glass bottles and plastic bottles that are post-consumer. And then we try to incorporate as much ocean glass and ocean plastic into the bracelet as possible as well.
There's a few different colors of these bracelets here.
Yep.
Is there any meaning behind that? What do each of these mean?
So each bracelet that we do every month, besides our signature blue bracelet, it still removes 1 pound of trash from the ocean, which will always be our pledge for any product that we sell. But the difference is these all support different marine causes. So you have, let's say, for this color right here, this is for coral reefs. So we partnered with the Coral Reef Foundation down in the Florida Keys, where they are doing research on coral reefs to, you know, outplant and make sure that those don't die as the ocean becomes more acidic, as the ocean temperature rises, and they're doing anything they can to ensure that, you know, our corals, which is a vital part of the ocean ecosystem, stays healthy.
Right.
So for each bracelet that we sell, we donate portions of that proceeds to that cause. So all of these receive $25,000 straight donation, and they still remove 1 pound of trash from the ocean.
So you're not just turning trash into treasure, you're also supporting other organizations that are doing amazing work for our
100%. You know, we want to get the word out about ocean pollution and about what's happening in our oceans. And we understand that we have this amazing platform that we have created, yet there's a lot of other amazing companies and organizations that 100% need to be highlighted. And because they're just fighting the fight just as much as we are. And the more people that we can get involved, the better our oceans and our world's going to be.
Absolutely. So where can people find 4Ocean products?
So you can find 4Ocean products obviously on our website, www.4ocean.com. You can also find all of our bracelets in different retail stores that we have around the world, from mom and pop all the way to West Marine and a little bit more name brand stores. And then also in our pop-up shop.
Fantastic. Well, keep up the great work, man.
Awesome,
it's a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. You too.
I'm here with Jim Kinsler from SeaWorld Rescue to talk a little bit about what SeaWorld Rescue does. We've seen the amazing creatures they have there, the exhibits, the ocean conservation projects we might have heard of, but it goes so much farther beyond than just what is in SeaWorld itself. Can you tell us a little bit about SeaWorld Rescue and what the work that you're doing is?
Well, that's absolutely right. So obviously we have the park, we have a large collection of animals that we show to our guests and get them immersed in, all things aquatic. So that's a big part of what we do. Even more so is our rescue program. So we go all over, not only the state of Florida, but also southeastern United States. Some of the work that we do is even global to some degree. But we're immersed in a great deal of activities whether it's manatees, it's birds, it's sea turtles. We're even starting to get involved in coral rescue with some of our partners with AZA, FWC, and NOAA. We're up to, I believe, 35,000 animals since our inception, and we've been rescuing animals since the 70s. And that's something that's really interesting because a lot of folks have always seen SeaWorld, as a theme park or an animal park. And the reality is we've been rescuing animals since the 70s. Right. And we rescue hundreds and hundreds of animals every year. In fact, we average 400 to 500 birds every year, 40 to 60, sea turtles every year, and a number of manatees and other animal species. We also rescue and help relocate other marine mammals such as stranded dolphins.
That's wonderful. So you're here at SharkCon, obviously everyone's talking sharks. What have you been doing for sharks over at SeaWorld?
Well, we're very involved with sharks. Obviously, we do a lot of work with shark husbandry. We're very involved in shark research. We actually have an entire reproductive group in our company who have been working on shark reproduction and really understanding what is necessary to help create sustainable populations, which is one of our major goals, along with the AZA and a lot of other public aquariums, is to have these animals in our care and be able to sustain the species so that they have a future not only in our parks and aquariums but in the world.
Right, and it's very unique challenge because it's not like going to the African savanna, seeing zebras counting 1, 2, 3. The ocean is so vast and we've only explored a small percentage of it. Research, population control, you look at a lot of the shark species on the IUCN, the list of endangered, and a lot of them are data deficient. So doing the research like SeaWorld is doing in human care is so vital because it's stuff that we otherwise it would be much more difficult to see out in the wild.
That's absolutely right. So not only with sharks, with other fish, the marine mammals, pinnipeds, you name it, the work that we do translates to conservation. Right. Okay, it translates to the wild and how to mitigate and manage natural populations. So these are really important aspects into, delving into the husbandry and the care of the animals and what it takes to make a sustainable and healthy population.
Yeah. So guys, when you're visiting a zoo or an aquarium like SeaWorld, you're not just helping the park, you're not just helping the exhibits, you're helping animals out in the wild. So keep that in mind, guys. SeaWorld's doing great stuff. SeaWorld Rescue is doing really, really amazing work. Keep up the good work, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Pleasure talking to you.
Appreciate it.
I'm here with my good friend Kelly Quinn, Kelly of the Wild on Instagram. She is an artist, a conservationist, all-around fantastic person. Kelly, can you tell us a little bit about what got you into art and how your art is helping save wildlife?
Yes, of course. So when I was a kid, I grew up in Central Florida in the middle of these wetlands. There was like no one else around. So I spent all my time outside, kayaking, hiking, and how I kind of interpreted the world was through drawing, through artwork. That's how I really learned about animals and just started to experience the world. Then when I went to college, I just started working with acrylic painting, like we used to back here, acrylics. And it just I was really inspired by not only the wildlife that I grew up with in Central Florida, alligators, birds, all those gorgeous wetlands, but also like Payne's Prairie, the buffalo, and the deer that are also in Gainesville. After I graduated from college, I started working with the Florida Aquarium as their artist residence, so bringing the arts into STEM, and I started to work with more marine life like sharks, sea turtles, coral reefs, and I've just really been enjoying doing that for the last few years, connecting education and nature and art all in one kind of like ecosystem. So it's a lot of fun.
Kaylee, we met probably 3 years ago at SharkCon 2017.
Yeah.
And I've been following you on Instagram since then. And what I love about your art is that it's realistic, but it also, the colors that you use and the way that everything flows is very uniquely you.
Thank you.
And it's gorgeous. What's the inspiration behind your art style?
The inspiration, it's honestly, it's a lot of stuff. It's a good question.
All right.
Yeah, I definitely love Van Gogh. Van Gogh's got all these really cool color combinations, lots of movement, and using color as a way to guide the eye. I also really love Thomas Moran. It's one of my biggest inspirations as an artist, like when I was growing up. Thomas Moran is actually the reason why we even have national parks, which is really cool.
Nice.
Him and a photographer were actually one of the people who convinced everybody in New York to start creating the national parks. Yellowstone, the first one, and it was his art that brought this beautiful area to people's eyes. And it just shows the power that art can have to convince people to protect things.
So this idea of using art as a way to support conservation isn't really new, but we had these new ways of utilizing social media and graphic arts. Like a lot of your Instagram photos, I love the graphic of like shark jumping out of the canvas.
Yeah, like the augmented reality
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
yeah, it's really cool because you can like look at a painting and it's gorgeous, but you look at a painting coming to life on your social media, that's something that back in the day couldn't really happen, and now it kind of gives it this whole new level, and I love that.
Yeah.
So I
It's
have
more about physicality.
yeah, exactly. So you work with the Florida Aquarium. What are you doing there?
I'm working with them to create an artist in residency program so that other artists, not just myself, can also come and be a part of this movement of bringing the arts into the sciences and the education here in Tampa Bay. So we're hoping to be able to bring other artists in for a couple months and have them get inspired, and at the end of the event, or at the end of their residency, be able to donate a piece of artwork to the aquarium, but also have a gallery showing. And that's like the ultimate goal. We're not there yet, but in the meantime, I've been working on doing live painting whenever I'm on the floor, out in the wetlands dome specifically. Getting kids and getting adults inspired by jumping in and painting live. That's what I've been doing here today too. And it's really cool because kids start to ask such great questions whenever they get tactile. Whenever they're physically doing something that's inspired by this animal or this habitat, I've noticed they start to ask really good questions, and they also just get really excited. Like, what kid isn't like paint, canvas, like sure.
Yeah.
So it's a really fun way to engage with audiences at the aquarium in a new way, but it's also very educational and like really, really fun.
Perfect.
So that's a live painting, and then I also create digital assets that they use for their educational material.
Very nice. So your boyfriend Blake and yourself also run an organization called Paint for the Wild. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Of course. So Paint for the Wild is an organization that we developed to support local parks and preserves and nonprofits of conservation like the aquarium. So basically we hold a paint class for a few hours, a couple times a month, and at the end of the class we donate money from the class, from all those people coming to enjoy this really cool setting, learning how to paint, maybe sometimes for the first time, and at the end we donate back to conservation, and it supports them directly, all of their conservation initiatives and their work that they're working on right now. Art has the ability to connect people with a place or something that needs our protection, like an animal, a habitat, get people out there, get people engaged in it, in this like fun activity, and then they start to ask questions, like just like with the kids in the live painting. So it's been really, really fun adventure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, please do yourself a favor. Follow Kelly of the Wild on Instagram. And do you have a website as well?
Yes, kellyofthewild.com.
kellyofthewild.com. And
the Paint for the Wild classes are also paintforthewild.com.
paintforthewild.com. Perfect.
Yeah.
Guys, follow everything she does. This is an amazing woman. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Guys, I'm here with my friend Ria Warner and this beautiful creature whose name is Cypress. And Cypress is what kind of owl?
She is a barn owl.
Barn owl. Absolutely beautiful. And she lives at the Owl's Nest Sanctuary for Wildlife. And where are you guys located?
We are based out of Odessa, but we actually serve the entire greater Tampa Bay area for wildlife rescue and rehab.
Perfect. So what kind of stuff do you guys take in?
We deal with all native Florida wildlife, everything small to large. We've got a flying squirrel with us today, who's one of our smallest mammals, all the way up to foxes and bobcats and bald eagles.
Wow. So what's Cypress's story here? Why is she living with you?
Cypress came into us with a wing injury and a foot injury. So she actually has a permanent callus on her talon that affects her range of motion and her ability to kill prey. And her wing injury prevents her from being able to fly long distances. And she is actually shared between us and a sanctuary in Indian Shores.
Really?
So she was our rehab patient and she's their ambassador, but we have a relationship with them, so we're helping train her and we get to use her for events as well.
Perfect. What's some of the most common calls that you guys get about animals that need help?
Right now is possum season 2. So possums actually can have 2 to 3 litters a year, and we're going through our second round of possums. And they come in groups of 8 to 13.
Oh my God.
So we can have upwards of 300 to 500 possums at any given time
300 to
during
500?
possum season.
Oh my gosh. So how big is this team taking care of potentially 300 to 500 possums alone?
Our possum team is about 40 people. So they get divvied up amongst us. We have people who specialize in the smaller ones that need to be tube fed frequently throughout the day. And then we go all the way up to people who have pre-release cages where they get acclimated to being back out in the elements before they go out into the wild.
Very cool. So living in Florida, there's a lot of incredible native species and also a lot of incredible invasive species.
Yes.
Do you get calls about those as well?
We do actually. We have quite a few sulcatas that come in, which are
yeah.
the large African spur-thighed tortoises. We also get calls for tegus, and we've got a red tegu and a black and white tegu with us here today, just to talk about responsible pet ownership, because that's a lot of what's happening, is they're getting out on owners, or owners are moving and can't take it anymore, and they're releasing them into the environment.
So Cypress here has become pretty used to people, as we can see. When they first come in, is it, I'm guessing it takes a while for them to get this comfortable.
Yes, so Cypress, when she first came in, there was some question as to whether or not she's going to be releasable. And once they're going through the rehab, we're very hands-off. It is all about just making sure their basic needs are met. We clean them, we feed them, we give them their medical treatments, and other than that, we're hands-off.
Right.
So once she was deemed non-releasable, she actually switched over to her new facility where she had a neutral team. A team she didn't associate with the doctor's office. She switched over to her new team where she began to get ready to do events and education. So she has spent the last few months just hanging out with trainers and getting accustomed to us, and now she's venturing out more and more. She comes out and sees the guests at Seaside Sanctuary, and then now she's coming out to events with us as well.
So what advice would you give somebody if they find an injured animal either in the road or on their property and they have no idea what to do?
You're going to want to reach out to your state agency for wildlife. So in Florida, that is the Florida Conservation Commission. They are going to have a list of who has which permits and who's qualified for different kinds of animals, and they can help get you in contact with your nearest one. Because wildlife can be dangerous enough, but when it's sick or injured, it's going to be even more defensive. And we don't want anybody getting hurt trying to save an animal or making an injury worse because they're trying to move it and they may not know how to move it safely.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cypress. Thank you. You've been an amazing guest. I can't stop. She's just looking me right in the eyes, and I can't stop looking at her. So I'm going to do this for a few more hours, and I'll see you guys in a bit. I'm here with Mikki McComb-Kobza. She is the Executive Director of the Ocean First Institute. Mikki, would you mind telling us a little bit about what it is that the Ocean First Institute does?
Sure. So at the Institute, we are all about ocean conservation through research and education. So we go out into the field and do research primarily on sharks, and we bring those stories back into classrooms to inspire students to take action and to understand what's happening in our ocean today. We also take our most excited students into the field with us to collect data, and those are life-changing opportunities for students to see what it's like to be a scientist, to be able to tag a shark or a sea turtle. It's an incredible experience, and we love doing that because we want to build in the scientists of tomorrow.
Perfect. I love that. What's the age range? Who do you bring with you?
So on our expeditions, we take students usually from middle and high school ages. And it's an incredible time in their lives when they're learning so much to be able to go out into the field and experience wildlife, to understand what nature is all about, and to really understand what it is to collect data and to be a scientist.
Wonderful. So you just gave a little talk about your work with hammerhead sharks. Could you? That's one of my favorite species. I nerd out over hammerhead because they're so weird. Would you mind telling us a little bit about what you've done with hammerhead sharks?
Sure. So hammerhead shark species are truly iconic sharks. They're amazing. And when you look at hammerhead sharks, you're thinking, why do they have that weird head shape? Well, that's one thing that I studied, is why do they have the weird head shape? There are over 10 species of hammerhead shark, all with different head expansions, and there are many theories about why. And one of those is that they might have enhanced vision because their eyes are separated on this head, giving them excellent binocular vision. They also have a head full of electrosensors. They can detect weak electric fields. This is like having a big metal detector. So their sensory systems are enhanced, and this could be one of the reasons we see the evolution of the hammerhead. There's all kinds of other things like hydrodynamic lift, but hammerhead sharks are unique. And one of the saddest things to tell you is that there are hammerhead sharks now that are endangered species. And so now more than ever, we need to understand hammerheads and we need to take action to protect them.
Absolutely. You know, we've heard this again and again today from some of the researchers and field workers. We can't protect something if we don't fully understand it. And so the work that you're doing to understand these creatures is amazing. And you mentioned something near the end of your talk. You answered a question, and I had never heard this before. You were talking about how hammerhead sharks evolved, and it seems that the more recent evolutions of hammerhead sharks are shrinking their hammers.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So some DNA studies have shown us that the basal, or the first hammerhead, was the one that has the really, really big head. And as they've speciated, those heads are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, more like a normal shark shape. And so we don't know what that means, we're not really sure, but it seems that that strange appearance of the head in the first place was something pretty dramatic.
Thank you so much. If people want to learn more about the Ocean First Institute, where can they go?
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about what we do, go to oceanfirstinstitute.org. You can learn all about what we do, learn about our expeditions, and you can help us help wildlife.
Awesome. Mikki, thank you so much for your time. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. Make sure to subscribe to Miller's Wildlife and hit that little notification bell down in the corner to make sure that you get notified every time I post a new video. For more information about the individuals, the companies, and the organizations that I interviewed in this video, please make sure to check out the links in the description. Click on those websites and you'll find all the stuff you need to learn about them. I really highly recommend it. Some of these people are working incredibly hard for our oceans and they need our support. Make sure to share this video with the shark lovers in your life and spread awareness about ocean conservation. Very special thank you to everybody who I interviewed during this convention. A big thank you to Spencer, the guy who created SharkCon and let me lug all my camera equipment around and bother everybody. And a huge thank you to my friend Dylan Johns, who was my cameraman on this trip. I could not have done this without you. Once again, make sure to subscribe for more awesome animal content. I'm going to be making some really weird, really cool stuff in the very, very near future, so definitely stay tuned for that. And I'll see you next week only on Miller's Wildlife.